Good morning. It's Sunday school. Welcome. Please come in and sit down while the grown-ups are upstairs going to church. We'll have our Sunday school. Okay, I advertised this morning's thing as Lola Daydream uh, transcends duality. Well, the reason I said that is because on our trip up the Tree of Life in the reading of the Wake World, we're now starting to deal with going from number 4 across this abyss here to number 3. Now, this whole area here is called the supernal triad. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. But you know, the supernal triad really isn't 1, 2, and 3. It's just one thinking about itself. So two is just the kind of a reflection of the one, and 3 is just the reality that 1 is not the reflection, and the reflection is not the 1. Okay, this is number 1, it's reflection, and the knowledge between that there's a difference between the reflection and the 1. I know it's kind of mystical and vague, but it's not mystical and vague. There is no real 2. 2 is just the reflection of 1. And 3 is the light bulb that goes off in your head that realizes that there's a difference between the reflection and the real thing. So 1, 2, and 3, the supernal triad, is just 1 becoming conscious of itself. Everything that, and that triangle, that triad, then reflects itself in the next triad, just like 2 was a reflection of 1. This second triad here is just the reflection of the first triad. And the third triad down below here that we can't see in this printout is just the realization that the second triad is really just a reflection of the first. So you see how the second triad has its apex pointing down because it's the reflection of the supernal triad. So we could look at the supernal triad 1, 2, and 3 as totally self-contained abstractness, one thinking about itself. But it starts to burst into real manifestation and the creation of all of the things, or the myriad creatures, as the I Ching calls it, all takes place in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then hits rock bottom in 10. That's as fast as I could explain that. Okay, so anyway, after all, this is Sunday school. Yesterday, we're at this very, very climactic part. Lola has made it to number 4. She got married there in number 6 and has, in a very balanced way, got herself to number 4. There is no path from number 4 to number 3. But notice that there are paths that go across the abyss. There's the one leading from 5 to 3, and from 6 to 3. But the novelty straw is all plugged up and won't suck across the abyss there unless another activation is to unclog it happens by somehow moving from 4 to 3. So when you move to 4 to 3, all of a sudden the straw gets unplugged, and the path from 5 to 3 gets unplugged, and the path from 6 to 3 also gets unplugged. But the real work has to first be done by moving what the essence of who you really are from 4 to 3. Okay. I'm going to back up a little bit from yesterday. Let's see. You have managed, this is people, spiritual beings, talking to Lola in the 4th house. You are now mistress of all these houses from the 4th to the 9th. You have managed the servants' hall well enough since your marriage. Now you must manage the others, because till you do, you can never go on to the 3rd house. So I said, it seems to me that they're all in perfectly good order. But they took me up in the air, and then I saw that the outsides were horribly disfigured with great advertisements, and every single house had written all over it, 1st house, this is His Majesty's favorite residence, no other genuine. Beware of worthless imitations. Come in here and spend life. Come in here and see the serpent eat its tail. So I was furious, as you may imagine, and had men go and put all the proper numbers on them and little sarcastic remarks to make them ashamed. So they read, 5th house, and mostly dream at that. 7th house, external splendor and internal corruption. So in other words, they're taking what seems, from the point of view of below the abyss, virtues and cool things, like the 7th house being Venus and all the wonderful, beautiful Venusian things associated with the sphere of Venus. But then turning it on its head to turn the virtues of the Sephirah into the vices of it. Okay, and this is where Lola is starting to experience the kind of madness when her brain and her point of view is being forced to transcend duality, where you can't look at one side of the coin without looking simultaneously at the other. And you get so adept at doing that that you finally look at the coin and see that there aren't two sides to it, transcending duality. So she's experiencing this early awakening. 7th house, external splendor and internal corruption, and so on. And on each one I put no thoroughfare from here to the 1st house. In other words, you can't get to the 1st house from any of these places. There's no thoroughfare from here to the 1st house. The only way is outdoors by order. I'm going to digress for a second. Years ago, my dear friend, the concert guitar virtuoso Jonathan Taylor, treated me to a trip to New York City, where he was meeting with his agent, and we went to Carnegie Hall, and it was a wonderful, wonderful trip. And we had a day to spend in New York City, and we went to the Statue of Liberty. Okay, and we just went on the normal tour the Statue of Liberty. And, you know, you can go up into the Statue of Liberty and go near the top of the arm even, and or the top of the head of the Statue of Liberty, which they call the crown. Now, the crown is also another name for number 1, Kether, on the Tree of Life. And there was a way you could get so high into the guts of the Statue of Liberty, and on some days and on certain circumstances, you could actually get to the crown area and look out over New York Harbor. But that day you couldn't, and so the docent was making the announcement stairs to the upper level, but no access to the crown. And when I heard that, I thought of this little section from the Wake World here. No thoroughfare from here to the first house. The only way is out of doors by order. Okay, that was a stupid little digression, but anyway. It was frightfully annoying because in the old days, we could walk about inside everywhere. So in other words, at that level of consciousness, whereby we are completely plugged in, we can do that. Okay, this is how people have mistaken this concept of the fall of man. Man didn't fall anyway. If we fell anywhere, we fell asleep. Okay. But waking up, okay, and so the Golden Dawn has these diagrams: Adam and Eve before the fall, and Adam and Eve after the fall. Well, this wasn't the punishment for some ambiguous fruit-eating violation of any kind in the Bible. They're talking about parts of our psyches, our inner workings that got itself a little disconnected and we've fallen asleep. So in the old days, or in other words, in that pristine state, we could walk about inside everywhere and not get wet if it rained. But nowadays, there isn't any way from the fourth to the third. Okay. From the fourth to the third, there doesn't appear to be any way. You could, of course, go by the chariot. And that's the path. Oh, excuse me, the chariot. Okay, now the chariot goes from 5 to 3. That's the path from 5 to 3. Let's see, you could go through this, or through the house where the twins live. That's the Gemini twins, the path of Zion, from the 6th to the 3rd. But that isn't allowed unless you've been to the 4th too, and go from there at the same time. That's the blockage of the flavor straw or the novelty straw. Okay, I think I'm making things more complicated. I should just read this without all these digressions. I apologize. It was here they told me what T-A-R-O on the ring meant. Okay, tarot, there's a Hebrew word called troa that is spelled basically T-R-O, T-R-A-O, T-A-R-O. So troa means gate, and it is the name of my fairy prince. when you spell it in full, letter by letter. Okay, Troa means gate. Okay, another word for gate is in Hebrew is bab, B-A-B. And so the word bab alon means gate to the God, all on. Gate of the gate to the God on, and on, of course, is the sun in ancient Egypt. O-N. And it is the root for our modern words that represent the concept of being itself, like the study of ontology, the study of being. So, gate of the God on, Bob, all on. But I digress. First it meant gate and is the name of my fairy prince when you spell it in full, letter by letter. There are 78 parts, okay, 78 cards in the tarot, T-A-R-O, which make it a perfect plan for the whole palace. So you can always find your way if you remember to say T-A-R-O. Then you remember I-N-R-I is short for LVX, which means the brilliance of the wide wake light. And that too is the name of my fairy prince, only spelled short. Okay. Obviously in this initiation ritual that Crowley is trying to reveal in a very roundabout way here, they teach you the analysis of the word, and it's associated with the hexagram ritual, which Golden Dawn members are taught to master at this level, where you go I-N-R-I, Yud, Nun, Resh, Yod. Those are the Hebrew letters, I-N-R-I. I-N-R-I, Yod, Nun, Resh, Yod. Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother, Scorpio, Apophis, Destroyer, Sol, Osiris, slain and risen. Isis, Apophis, Osiris, E-A-O. So that's how I-N-R-I distills itself into E-A-O. And I guess that's something we'll need to discuss in greater length at another time. Right now it's a digression. The Romans said it had 65 parts. Here we go. Gematria people, you can drool now. The Romans said it had 65 parts, which is 5 times 13, and 78 is 6 times 13. To get into the wake world, you must know your 13 times table quite well. And if you take both of them together, that makes 11 times 13, and you say abrahadabra, which is the most mysterious word because it has 11 letters in it. You remember that the houses are numbered in both ways, so that the third house is called the 8th house too, because it's third from the top and 8th from the bottom. Okay, and all of those, 3 equals 8. Okay, put them all together, they all equal 11. The third house is called the 8th house too, and the 5th, the 6th, and so on. But you can't tell what lovely things that means till you've been through them all and got to the very end. So when you look at the ring and see I-N-R-I and T-A-R-O on it, that means it's like a policeman keeping on saying, pass along, please. I would have liked to stayed in the 4th all my life. But I began to see it was just a little dream house too. And that I couldn't rest because my own house was the very next one. But it's too awful to tell you how to get there. You want the most fearful lot of courage, and there's nobody at all. There's no proper passage, but it's frightfully exciting. And you must wait until next time before I tell you how I started on that horrible journey, and if I ever got there or not. And that's where we'll end our reading for today. Tomorrow we'll start with part 4, which is in more detail. But in Christian mysticism, the analysis, the exegesis upon the Passion of Christ, the mystical point of view, is that on the cross, at the climax, and I literally mean climax, of the great sacrifice, which in the Golden Dawn is comparable to when Lola was nailed to the Red Cross at the beginning of the initiation. Toward the very, very end, even the Gospels record or report that Christ said, "Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" That's the moment when there's nobody at all that can help you. From below the abyss point of view, it seems you're losing everything, including the fairy prince. But you're, in essence, from above the abyss point of view, you've lost nothing. Who you really are, what you really are, the essence of what you really are, realizes that it's already across the abyss. So, that's Sunday school for today. Everybody leave early. Sunday school was very traumatic for me when I was a kid, because it was in this 100-year-old church basement, and they were just so, the teachers were so racist and stupid. I'm sorry, they really were. It was a very provincial town I was in, and I was so very unhappy. And I knew, I can't believe grown-ups think this, can believe this stuff. And so, out of boredom, I brought dice. I had a pair of green dice, and prior to the Sunday school beginning, I presumed to teach my friends how to shoot craps, and because I knew the rules and they didn't, and we bet our offering money. And for several weeks in a row, I just cleaned out everybody's offering money by shooting dice. And my friends thought it was, well, this is very cool and exciting, and even if they lost. And then after Sunday school, I had to go light I had to put on a little cherubic garment, white garment. And I was the kid that opened the church service, the adult church service. Every week I paraded in with the procession and the music and things like that. and I had a candle lighter and snuffer, and I would come in and truly begin the service by ceremonially lighting all the candles on the altar, and then I would ceremonially walk down the center aisle and back to the robing room, and I would strip out of my little cherubic costume, and I would take that offering money that I won shooting craps, and I would race across Frankfurt Square or Franklin Square, I forget what it is, to the Thule drugstore in Columbus, Nebraska, and I'd use my ill-gotten gain to order a tuna salad sandwich. It was so good. And they had homemade bread and butter pickles, and I would get a cherry or a lime phosphate. God, it was heaven. It was heaven. But I didn't attend church service. I was supposed to be dutifully sitting there doing that. And then I'd race back across the park and across the bandstand. It was just so 19th century. And I'd rush back into the church just as the service was closing. And I'd put on my little white robe, and then come in through the side up near the altar, and I would ceremonially snuff the candles to end the church service, and then I would walk out with the minister and sometimes the choir and everything. That's my Sunday school story for today. I'm sorry, it's totally a digression, but anyway, take the rest of the day off. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody. And I'll continue to join Constance in unpacking boxes, looking for things we can't find. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.